A successful implementation project starts with having the strategy, tools, and information sources together in one place. SAP offers an implementation methodology which brings all these components for a successful project together in solution-specific transition roadmaps, which are accessible for everyone in the SAP Roadmap Viewer. The transition roadmap for SAP S/4HANA is intended to guide the implementation team through the entire project of an implementation of or a conversion to SAP S/4HANA. All steps that need to be considered from early planning until the go-live of the new SAP S/4HANA are explained in activities and tasks, accompanied with all important guides, SAP notes, and project management templates. Following the SAP Activate methodology, the transition roadmap is structured in 6 phases. So let's start and have a look at the phases and major activities. In the Discover phase, customers become familiar with the benefits of SAP S/4HANA and the benefits the solution can bring to a customer's business. In the first step, customers should create an overall company strategy on their digital transformation. The activity is called Strategic Planning. This includes SAP S/4HANA as the digital core, but looks at it from a broader perspective. Key topics like Internet of Things, big data, smart data, omnichannel, or business networks can be included into the strategy as well. In the next step, customers should become familiar with the value of SAP S/4HANA in general. A trial system in the cloud could support this. The customer can discover the new and simplified functionality in SAP S/4HANA, the new user interface based on Fiori, agile customer innovations using SAP Cloud Platform, and much more in a trial system that is provisioned from the Cloud Appliance Library. In the third activity, called Application Value and Scoping, a decision on the implementation scenario and a comprehensive implementation strategy for SAP S/4HANA should be created, which can be achieved by a Value and Implementation Strategy service. In the case of system conversion, the conversion readiness of the existing SAP ERP system should be checked as well with the SAP Readiness Check. The outcome of these steps can be leveraged within a company to build a business case for an SAP S/4HANA implementation project. Check these activities yourself in the transition roadmap. Can you answer these questions? Scan the barcodes on the cards to learn more. Once the business case has been approved, the project is initiated in the prepare phase. There are customers running a prototype project in front of the real transition project. The aim is often to check technical and functional feasibility. Prototypes are small separate projects and usually last between 3 and 6 months. The purpose of the team enablement activity is to ensure that the project team members have access to learning material in the SAP Learning Hub and to best practices documentation in the SAP Support Portal. The project team members should be familiarized with SAP Solution Manager capabilities and tools for project support. An important part of the prepare phase of the project is the formal project setup. This needs to be aligned between SAP and the customer. The project manager from the customer or implementation partner runs the project. If the customer makes use of an SAP Value Assurance package, an SAP Technical Quality Manager is established as your contact partner to discuss all topics related to the transition project and to manage the quality gates. He takes care of the setup of the governance structure for the project and takes the leadership for scope definition and execution of all tasks done by SAP. The project itself is planned at a high level in a transition planning for new implementation or a migration planning workshop for the conversion case. The planning of the transition project helps to properly define the scope and execution plan. The result is a first version of an action plan, which can serve as the basis for a project plan. The project plan will be further detailed out in the Explore phase. The planning workshops often reveal preparation activities which have to be done before the Explore phase starts. One example is the customer vendor integration in case of a system conversion. In addition, you should clean up custom code which is not in use and clean up and archive business data to reduce the size of your productive system. This will reduce hardware requirements of your new SAP HANA database and reduce business downtime during conversion. The prepare phase ends with the first quality gate to ensure proper project preparation. Do some more exploration in the transition roadmap. Can you answer these questions? When the quality gate is passed, transition preparation has ended and a first project plan is available, the explore phase will be kicked off. The purpose of the activity Activate Solution is to ensure that a functional system is available to be used for demonstration and visualization purposes during the coming FitGap sessions. The system is required to explore the solution functionality that has been included in the project scope and for confirming that all business needs are addressed. For new implementations, either activate the identified best practice content or leverage an SAP Model Company. The conversion to SAP S/4HANA may impact your custom code. A first list of impacted custom objects has been identified in the SAP Readiness Check. You will need to identify and prioritize affected custom objects that are used productively and that must be adjusted as part of the system conversion project. The results from the value and implementation strategy will feed into the fit gap analysis and delta design workshops. The purpose of fit gap and delta design is to validate the predefined scenarios and enhancements in scope for implementation and identify potential gaps between the delivered product and the customer's requirements. In case an SAP Model Company is used to support the fit gap activities, additional pre-configured scenarios are already available. Gap validation and a final design review support this activity, which is usually executed in an agile manner. In the data migration design activity, the transfer of business data from legacy systems to the newly implemented SAP S/4HANA system is designed. This activity covers both the simple scenario, where standard tools or best practices concepts are sufficient, and the more complex scenario of selective data transition, also known as landscape transformation. For a new implementation, a data migration assessment should be run to define the data migration approach and create a strategy document. For selective data transition, an implementation partner or SAP needs to run a landscape transformation assessment. Both scenarios may require additional data migration software. Are you ready for some more cards? You are now right in the middle of your project. Once Quality Gate 2 Explore to Realize has been passed successfully, the functional and technical implementation takes place in the Realize phase. The purpose of the configuration activity is to configure the mandatory settings according to the Delta design as defined and agreed during the Explore phase. The Delta design documents contain changes related to both the implementation of new functionality and the mandatory configuration adjustments. Configuration steps will be executed in different iterations, also called sprints, starting from general settings per line of business up to detailed configuration for each area. In case of a newly implemented business process, configuration data will be taken from best practices content from SAP Activate. In case of a system conversion, existing customizing will be taken over during technical conversion, but of course it will need to be adjusted per newly introduced or changed functionality. Much of the old configuration will continue to work unchanged though. The activity Product Enhancements covers the development of custom code to close the gaps identified in the Fit Gap activities in the Explore phase. SAP recommends to explore the options for the agile creation of customer innovations using the extensibility capabilities of SAP S/4HANA and SAP Cloud Platform, especially for SAP Fiori and Agile Data Mart. The usage of the SAP Cloud Platform has two additional benefits. You can run innovations in parallel to the SAP S/4HANA conversion project, and you can consume innovations without upgrading the stable SAP S/4HANA core. The activity further covers the adjustment of already existing custom code, which has been identified in the activity Custom Code Impact in the Explore phase. The integration of solutions when implementing and running solution landscapes that drive mission-critical business processes can be complex and challenging. Integration validation helps to introduce solutions into a production environment smoothly while maintaining ongoing operations with minimal disruption. The organizational framework for each integration validation project is provided by the Innovation Control Center, which is formed from the Customer Center of Expertise location. It unites customer experts, partners, and SAP staff as one team. Every mission-critical application and technology component is represented, as well as every implementation and operation services provider. Main aspects of integration validation are data consistency, business process monitoring and exception management, as well as performance and scalability. For new implementations, the activity data migration develops, implements, and tests the data migration programs and processes defined in the explore phase. This activity consists of iterative development and testing cycles. They cover the analysis of data, refinement of business rules, and deployment of migration programs and processes which are designed to move, cleanse, transform, and enrich legacy data. The test cycles enable the migration team to improve data quality to an acceptable production level, develop a detailed cutover sequencing plan, and exercise data reconciliation and validation processes which are required to support the production cutover. In case of selective data transition, the tasks within this activity largely depend on the scenario. In case of client transfer, system merge, and company code transfer, harmonization and adjustment tasks need to be performed before data can be successfully transferred. Let's see if you have an answer to the questions on the activities of the realize phase. When the quality gate 3, realize to deploy, has been passed successfully, the final preparation for go-live starts in the deploy phase. In preparation for the go-live of the transition project, it is imperative to execute an end-to-end dress rehearsal of the cutover procedures. The rehearsal should be executed about 2 to 4 weeks prior to the go-live. All changes intended to be included in the cutover should be available for the dress rehearsal. This includes any changes that result from the testing cycles, as even a single transport could greatly impact the duration of the process. In a system conversion project, changes to production should be restricted from this point onward in order to mitigate risks to the cutover procedures. If there is a need to make a change to production after this point, it should be carefully evaluated and the impact should be fully understood. In some cases, there may be a requirement to postpone the go-live and re-execute the dress rehearsal in order to accommodate intrusive changes. The operations readiness activity checks the customer's ability to operate SAP HANA and SAP S/4HANA as of go-live. In a system conversion or a new implementation where the customer knows already how to operate SAP ERP, only the delta to safely operate SAP S/4HANA needs to be checked in this activity. However, in case of a new SAP customer, all core IT support processes as documented in the SAP support standards need to be checked with respect to SAP S/4HANA. The purpose of the production cutover is to perform the cutover to the production software as defined in the cutover plan and go live. At this point, the organizational, business, functional, technical, and system aspects of the project are ready to be used in production. SAP supports this important step with the SAP Going Live Support Service. This service component is based on a standardized method to support critical situations during production cutover. SAP experts contribute their knowledge and expertise remotely to minimize the risks for the go-live. The weeks after go-live are called hypercare, where the new system is further stabilized and optimized. When finished, the deploy phase ends. The transition project comes to an end when finally the operational responsibility has been handed over to the production support team. Check your knowledge about the deploy phase, scan the barcodes and view the roadmap to know more. The transition project has ended with the deploy phase. In the run phase, the aim is to establish a safe and efficient operation of the newly created solution. This includes the operations platform, core IT support processes, the setup and fine-tune of new or additional operations tools, and the enablement of the operational support team. Moreover, a continuous operations improvement should be established to improve IT operations based on newly gained experience. Once the hypercare phase has ended, it is important to fully enable the regular support organization at the customer side to safely and securely operate the new system. The handover to support includes the finalization of the system documentation and the operations handbook with descriptions of all operational procedures. This can be supported by SAP with the handover to support scope option as part of the build execution service. For the final project closing, a prerequisite is that you have achieved a closure of all open project issues and that all quality gates are passed successfully. Ensure that each contract is closed by verifying that all work specified in the contractual arrangement was completed and that all defined deliverables were accepted. Document the results of the project in a project closeout report, both regarding achieved objectives and deliverables, as well as adherence to schedule, costs, and delivered value. This is the right time to plan for further innovations that could be implemented according to the overall implementation strategy, which has been created in the discover phase of the project. The implementation strategy can now be reviewed and enriched based on system usage experience, which has been gained in the first weeks after go live. With project end, the customer support organization is responsible to operate the new solution. The aim of this activity is to ensure efficient daily operations. This affects IT support people, IT support processes and tools. In addition, the customer support organization should seek for continuous improvement, for example, setting up an advanced customer center of expertise. How to do this and how SAP can support is described in this activity of the transition roadmap and the linked accelerators. These are the last cards. Now you are a real expert in the transition roadmap. Hope you have enjoyed our trip through the implementation project for SAP S/4HANA.